Please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates. Welcome everyone to this brand new explainer. We're breaking down one of the most highly anticipated epic round of 16 clashes you will literally ever see. We're talking about an incredible Iberian derby on the world's biggest stage. It's Portugal, it's Spain. And the tactical nuances underlying this matchup are absolutely fascinating. So grab a seat and get comfortable, because we've got a lot of ground to cover today.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The round of 16 awaits. Setting the stage.
To really understand this clash, we've got to look at the monumental stakes and exactly how these two heavyweights arrived at this exact moment. The margin for error, literally zero. The training wheels are completely off now. On one hand, Spain is really clicking into gear. They're coming off a super convincing 3-0 win over Austria where Lamine Yamal scored 2 goals, sandwiching a totally brilliant Pedro Porro team goal. But then, on the flip side, you have Portugal. Their recent performance against Croatia, well, it wasn't exactly their best. They really weren't playing well, but, and this is a massive but, they still found a way to win. And you know, while Spain looks like a well-oiled machine right now, Portugal is incredibly dangerous precisely because they can have a completely off day and still grind out a result.
Which brings us to Section 2. Portugal, the gritty survivors.
You know, surviving a bad game in the group stages completely changes the psychology of a dressing room. Finding a way to win when you're playing poorly, that gives a squad a massive injection of confidence heading into a knockout battle. But hey, confidence alone isn't going to beat Spain. Looking at the analysis from the pundits, Portugal has a very clear checklist of things they absolutely must fix. First up, they have to tighten up defensively. Second, they really need to make a firm tactical decision on how Cristiano Ronaldo is going to maneuver between that Spanish backline. Third, the midfield support has got to be vastly improved. And finally, they have to figure out their game plan for when they don't have the ball. Because against Spain, you just have to expect you won't have the ball. You can't just have a casual game here. If you make a mistake now, you're packing your bags and going home.
And honestly, the midfield is arguably where this entire game is going to be won or lost. Which brings us to a really glaring question mark for Portugal. Vitinha has been absolutely brilliant for PSG in the Champions League, right? But he simply hasn't delivered that exact same level of performance for Portugal at this World Cup so far. He and João Neves have looked completely overrun at times. So think about it. If you're coming up against a Spanish team designed to completely dictate the tempo of the game, how does Portugal negotiate a match against the ball when their key midfielders are already struggling to establish control? It's a huge issue.
Now let's flip sides. Section 3. Spain, the quiet controllers.
Spain has actually flown totally under the radar at this tournament with all the hype surrounding storylines for other teams, which is kind of crazy when you remember they're European champions with an incredibly deep roster. But what's really fascinating here is how perfectly this quote captures their overarching philosophy. Whichever team pins the other ones back to where you make them defend rather than attack, you're putting them in exactly the spot that you want to be in. Spain loves to use their fullbacks, guys like Pedro Porro and Marc Cucurella, to push super high up the pitch. They were massively influential in that victory over Austria. By pushing those fullbacks incredibly high, Spain pins the opposition back, forcing them to defend deep rather than attack. Basically, they suffocate you. They control the ball regardless of who the opponent is.
But here is the million-dollar question for us to ponder as we look at Spain today. Yes, they control the game, but can they actually blow top teams away? I mean, we've seen France have these terrifying 10 to 15-minute spells where they just obliterate the opposition. We've seen moments of unstoppable magic from other tournament favorites. Spain has looked really good, sure, but have they hit that overwhelming, unstoppable level yet? Well, now that they're facing real, high-level opposition in Portugal, we're finally going to find out if they have that extra explosive gear.
Moving on to Section 4. Match pacing. A game of two halves.
Because of the massive stakes, the tactical setups, and the sheer fear of making a fatal mistake, the pacing of this match is going to be a fascinating psychological study, and this brilliantly illustrates the flow. The pundits have a very specific prediction for how this battle will physically play out on the pitch. The first half? It's going to be incredibly cautious. Neither of these heavyweight nations wants to make the first mistake. So, they'll be feeling each other out, prioritizing defensive shape way over attacking risks. But then, the second half comes along. The realization hits that, hey, someone actually has to win this thing. The game will open up, and as the analysts put it, they're going to let the dogs loose in the midfield. That second half is where the spaces will suddenly appear, and where this round of 16 clash will ultimately be decided.
Which leads us beautifully into Section 5, the generational clash, Yamal versus Ronaldo.
As if the tactical battle wasn't enough, we're also being treated to a storyline that literally sounds like it was written for a Hollywood movie. It's the absolute climax of this explainer's narrative, the fascinating, on-pitch collision between an emerging teenage sensation and an all-time veteran legend of the sport. Just think about that number, 23. That is the age gap, in years, between Spain's Lamine Yamal and Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo. To put that into perspective for you, Lamine Yamal wasn't even born when Cristiano Ronaldo made his World Cup debut. It's a mind-boggling intersection of two entirely different eras of football happening right before our eyes.
In fact, the age gap is so vast, it actually brought out a pretty great joke from the analysis desk. With a 23-year difference, Lamine Yamal might genuinely look at the older pundits analyzing this game on TV and assume they used to play soccer alongside Rocky Balboa. It's a hilarious thought, but it perfectly highlights just how long Ronaldo has been operating at the absolute pinnacle of world football, while Yamal is just at the very dawn of his journey.
When we contrast these two, we really have to be fair to their respective career stages. Lamine Yamal is 18 years old. He's electric. He plays with a massive smile on his face. His passes are just popping around the field, making everyone watch in absolute awe. But, he is still learning the game. Meanwhile, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, a 5-time Champions League winner whose longevity is simply unmatched. It's so tempting to compare them, but we really shouldn't put unfair ceilings on an 18-year-old kid by demanding he instantly replicate the career of a global icon.
So the crucial point is this: matching the longevity, the stamina, and the sheer relentless consistency of players like Ronaldo or Messi has only happened maybe 7 or 8 times in the entire history of the sport. The quote hits the nail on the head. It is so hard to hit that level for so long. What Ronaldo did year after year, winning that competition 5 times, is incredible. Yamal has all the talent in the world and is well on his way to being a spectacular player for sure. But building a 2-decade legacy, that's a whole different mountain to climb. Today, however, they share the exact same pitch for 90 minutes.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. When the referee blows that starting whistle, which philosophy is going to prevail? Will it be Spain's suffocating, methodical control of the ball? Or will it be Portugal's gritty, battle-tested ability to survive and find a way to win no matter what? One team advances to the quarterfinals, and one team goes home. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates.